We actually talked about last week, Johnny. Carson Wentz is now going to be officially an Indianapolis Colt. Now, we talked about it in terms of him potentially going for a number one, multiple number ones, like in the Stafford deal. That obviously didn't happen. But when you look at the haul that the Eagles got for him, they got a third-round pick in 2021. They got a second-round pick that could become a first if Wentz plays more than 75% of his snaps. And obviously, if you're an Eagles fan, I think you're probably content with what you got because considering where Carson Wentz was last year, I don't know if there was another team as desperate as the Colts to get specifically him at quarterback than the Colts were. I don't think that there was a better fit for Wentz and fit for the other team than this trade. I think it checks a lot of boxes, like I said last week, but when I think about the big thing that comes out of this, though, I think, is that incentive that the Colts have potentially to not play Wentz for some games or not play Wentz the entirety of their games. I think that incentive is always going to be lingering in the back of their minds because they don't want to give up a first round pick, right? You'd rather give up that second round pick. So I think that's going to be something interesting to see. Other than that, Wentz in that offense, Carson Wentz in that Colts offense, I think is going to be a good fit. I do think, though, the only thing that team is going to need is they're going to need to find another wide receiver one. If they find another top line wide receiver, if they potentially draft somebody, if they potentially trade for somebody, we don't know. There's going to be a lot of moving parts this offseason, obviously, even especially on the wide receiver market. I think that this Colts team is going to be like a contender. I'm talking about the level of the Ravens, talking about the level of the Titans, the Chiefs. Like, they're going to be the Bills, powerhouse in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, this Colts team is a ready-made winner. Like, this Colts team was good with Phillip Rivers, and I'm not sure that man could walk about 5 feet. So, I want to talk about like Jonathan Taylor. Like, they got a great running game. And that kid was a rookie. He was awesome for them last year. And they have a good offensive line. They got a good defense. You're absolutely right that they could pick up a receiver or two. There are a handful of good ones in this draft. Especially they're not giving up that first round pick for this year. And, we'll see what happens to Wentz. Maybe they don't have to give up that first round pick next year. If things don't necessarily, become awesome, you take a look, that's a conditional second. So what that means, if you take a look at the graphic we got up, that if he plays less than 75% of his snaps, it will stay a second round pick. But if he plays more than 75%, then it will become a first round pick. So that's a good way for the Colts to hedge their bets there on an injury-riddled player. But honestly, the fate of the Colts rests in the hands of two men. That's Carson Wentz and Frank Reich, right? Wentz was great when Reich was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles when they won a Super Bowl. Obviously, Nick Foles was the guy there. They had Big Dick Nick behind him winning titles, but,
Title. Let's not give him that much
title.
credit. It was title.
That's true. That's true. You're right. Wentz was an MVP candidate that year under Frank Reich. So
Yep.
if Frank Reich can get him right, then we'll see. We'll see what they look like.
For sure. I do think, though, and a lot of people are calling this move by the Colts desperate and we got blasted. We got lambasted in the comment section last week on our Carson Wentz video, which was one of our most watched videos. Thank you guys for commenting and hating. But
Hate away. Hate away.
yeah, hate away. We love it. It helps us anyway. But one of the biggest things I got back was that, there's no way Wentz goes for a first. There's no way in hell he's going for a first. And granted, the deal was for a third and a second, right? But that conditional first round pick, it's still most likely if Wentz plays the way that you and I both think he's probably going to play under Frank Reich. If Wentz is like who else are they going to start at quarterback? Jacoby Brissett? Unless Wentz goes down with an injury, that's the only reason. That injury guarantee could have helped the Colts, but again, you're still giving up a second round pick. And what's that second round pick possibly going to be if you have to play Jacoby Brissett in some games? So no hating on Jacoby Brissett. I like him as a guy. I like him as a backup quarterback. He's just, it's just proven he's not gonna be a guy who could win in the league consistently. And again, that's just reality. But I do think that Wentz in this offense, Wentz in this system, he's going to prove a lot of people wrong because the big knock that people like Max Kellerman, the people like Rex Ryan, all these guys, all these pundits on ESPN, I think that he's going to prove all those people wrong. Dan Orlovsky was correct in his assessment that it was not Wentz's fault that the Eagles were trash. Was he partially to blame? Yeah, but when you don't have an offensive line, you don't have receivers that can catch, your top two receivers are injured, you don't have a consistent running back, your defense is garbage, and your coach is actively trying to get fired, I don't know a quarterback that could like succeed under there, okay? I'm just saying.
Nope.
I think that Wentz got a lot of shit. And if they were to point any blame to Wentz, or if you want to criticize Carson Wentz for one thing, the thing you should do it for isn't necessarily his play last year, but his inability like to stay healthy and to play 16-game seasons for whatever reason. He got injured, tore his ACL, had a little bit of trouble the next year coming back, got injured again, missed the playoff run there. Got injured in the playoffs the following year. Last year, obviously, Wentz got benched for Jalen Hurts, so he missed some games there. So there is a concern, I do think, about Wentz and playing a full 16-game season that is justified. Now, whether or not the Colts are able to keep him healthy, I do think they are going to be able to because they have a good line. But it's also up to Wentz to not be as reckless with the ball because he doesn't have to be. You've got time in the pocket. He can stay in the pocket. That's going to be on Wentz. And that's the thing that we should hold him to account for, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Wentz's issues can be summed up with talking about the players around him. You talked about not having an offensive line, not having a running game, not having receivers, not having a defense, not having good play calling. Like, who the hell is going to win under that? Like, what do you want him to do? I watched the quarterback kind of fight that same battle for almost a decade in Eli Manning. Everyone's talking about how terrible Eli Manning is. Well, between Ahmad Bradshaw and Saquon Barkley, who did Eli Manning have playing running back? That he had Odell at wide receiver, and he had a rotating cast of characters over on the offensive line, and a billion offensive coordinators and 3 head coaches between Coughlin and retiring. So, we've seen this script before, and we've seen quarterbacks who put up bad numbers turn into elite players when they're put in the right situation. Because at the end of the day, people like to think that the quarterback is Superman and that, he should be doing everything, but you run into the trap of relying way too much on your quarterback. There's a reason why the NFC Championship game is the Aaron Rodgers Invitational, is because the Packers never put enough talent around Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers. And they say, oh, shit, man, Aaron Rodgers is going to do it for us. He's going to get us there. Well, it doesn't work that way. And so you drop Wentz in a situation with a coach that he's comfortable with guys around him that can make plays, and where all he has to do is be a pocket passer and hit his receivers in stride. I mean, that's a winning formula. And if he can't handle that, then we can talk about whether or not he's an NFL quarterback anymore.
Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.